frame na parang insurmountable na yung numbers ni Ferdinand Marcos Jr. As in, wala na, tapos na eleksyon. I mean, you've read and seen so many commentators as well as columnists saying, tapos na eleksyon, di ba? Panalo na si Marcos Jr. Or, the other contention being na dalawa na lang ang naglalaban, no? Is belied by the numbers here. And that's the same thing that we are seeing on the ground, on the field. Yun ding mga endorsements of politicians, for instance. No? I just like to remind you, no, that Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte hardly had any politician endorsing him until 2 weeks before the election. No? I mean, nung nakita na nila na talagang meron ng surge. No? At the beginning, all we had were the politicians from Davao. Not nobody else was with the Mayor Duterte nung umpisa. So, yung mga endorsement ng politicians, that they do not really matter as much. Because at the end of the day, it's the voter, no, in the secrecy of his of the precinct who makes the decision.
Next question.
Sir, dito po need to say, itong mga surveys na to is a mind conditioning po ba sa mga voters? Does this surveys dictates their decision making?
No.
Well, it depends kasi on the maturity of the electorate. In more mature democracies, especially where you have a two-party system, which is why I keep hammering out the idiocy of this multi-party system in a presidential form of government. No? That I think hindi talaga magkabagay. No? In more mature democracies, and with an electorate that is more shall we say, more mature, no? Hindi na nako-condition yung mind ng mga surveys. No? Pero dito sa Pilipinas talaga, yung bandwagon effect, no? Especially created by an early bandwagon effect, no? Which is not normal in previous elections. Kaya nga sinasabi ko na posibleng nako-corrupt yung field workers, no? By a very moneyed candidate, no? Who can do it and who sees that if you create a bandwagon early enough, the perception will be panalo na sila. And I dispute that.
Last question, please.
So, pardon me, I just have to ask this question. So having said that, don't you just give more credence to this Tangere survey just because it favors your candidate?
It's not that we're giving it more credence because it favors our candidate. It's not that. It's because the conditions of the political environment that we are in right now, coming fresh from a pandemic, as well as reports reaching us na nako-corrupt nga yung numerators sa field, no? Tend to show na parang kinokondisyon na yung mind ng tao na wala nang eleksyon, tapos na eleksyon, panalo na si Ferdinand Marcos Jr. By an early bandwagon, which we dispute nga. And which this survey shows na kaya pa. And then if you will look at the previous surveys, the pre-filing of certificates of candidacy, tingnan niyo yung mga October, September surveys, hindi ba noon nauuna si Sara? At nagna-number 2, in some surveys, number 2 si ISKO, number 3 si Bongbong, or gano'n, no? Pero nakita nyo na nung pumasok si Sara, that's why it was very, very important for Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to inveigle Mayor Inday Sara to be his vice presidential candidate. Kasi yung Mindanao nag-swing, no? Admittedly, Mindanao is Duterte territory, no? And parts of Visayas. So nag-swing talaga yung kay Marcos. Whereas before, if you look at the surveys prior to the matchup, mababa si Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sa Mindanao. Talagang yung pagkakakuha niya o pagkakapapayag niya kay Mayor Inday Sara ang nagbigay sa kanya ng Mindanao. And that is seen in all the surveys.
And when you mentioned a while ago, sir, that somehow impulse Asia survey, since it is being subcontracted, somehow some questions are being skewed to favor certain candidates. How sure are you that in this particular survey in Tampere, questions are not skewed at all to influence the respondents to favor a certain candidate as well?
Kasi this is not done on a face-to-face basis. This is online. No? So quick answers. It's on the horse race and question, just a few questions and that's it. So that's the reason why the numbers may have been quite different.
And one last clarification, sir. As compared to Tampere, where the results show that the second preferred candidate is really Mayor ISKO Moreno, as compared to the polls, medyo malayo ang third po. No? Ang second preference is Lenny. How do we, or at least
even in polls, ang second choice is always ISKO.
Right.
From all surveys, all companies, second choice is ISKO. Ibig sabihin, kung for one reason or not, hindi tumakbo, hindi natuloy yung pagtakbo ng first choice mo, ang second choice mo si ISKO. Or, for one reason, halimbawa, nagpalit ka ng isip, no? I mean, through the dynamics of campaign, nagpalit ka ng isip, pag nagpalit ka ng isip, si ISKO ang magiging second choice mo, imbis na ibang kandidato. That's what the second choice preference means.
Thank you, sir.
No more question? Thank you very much. Meron tayong lunch dyan sa beauty center.
About ISKO to po. Ito po yung manager ng campaign ni ISKO. Ayan siya. So, kahit na-late lang tayo saglit, no? At least ang gagawin po natin ngayon ay hihingi ako dito ng tarpaulin. Pagkatapos ng interview, hihingi ako dito ng mga tarpaulin. Tapos pamimigay natin din sa Baseco.
Sinasabi nga niya that before, they did represent
Ayan, pa-shoot naman ang live natin, no?
On this matter. But however, since at that time, Mrs. Araneta used to work for her term. So parang na-handle niya. But afterwards, wala na sa kanila, wala na siyang direct knowledge about the case. So he's saying that he cannot give
second
an
choice
opinion
is kung
or any
naman.
comment about it since he doesn't have it. He did not follow the case anymore. About the 203.
23 billion.
Sa akin, again, probably she hasn't received it yet. She hasn't seen the paper or the demand letter yet. But it's out there. I mean, the demand letter, as said, as replied by BIR, is already out there. It was sent to them. Now, feigning ignorance or avoiding the issue, and in fact, in the same interview, she said she just lambasted it as bulok na sistema ng pamumulitika. I think that's the real answer right there. Hindi naman sa hindi nila natanggap, but they're just avoiding the issue and make it simply just an issue of politicking. Rotten system of politics, as she's saying. Na, again, ito na yung tack nila all along, all these years. No? Iwas dito, iwas doon, gawa ng storya dito, gawa ng storya doon. So, ito lang yung laro nila. And I think they want, siguro ito yung nakikita nila that will win them through. But apparently, as shown by the numbers, around 30% of their own followers are questioning this. May question mark sa kanila na, bayaran mo, bakit magbayad ka? So, ito yung mga, I think, nag-iisip at this time. And kung hindi sila gumawa ng action, they might just lose this 33% of their 48%.
It's 14.5 points.
And that's 14%, that's huge.
I just have another question. Did you see in your data that any evidence showing President Duterte's rants before against Marcos hurt his daughter?
President
Duterte, well, calling.
Posible. Matagal na niya sinabi yun eh. Posible. Posible merong effect. But hindi tinanong as a particular question.
And then the rest of the non-part, or you mentioned soft na Marcos voters that remain, Marcos supporters but soft pa. Since hindi tumatalab so far yung 203 billion for them, what is your strategy to lean them over to your side?
Well, the 203 billion estate tax is a continuing and a legitimate story. In fact, I didn't know about that, about Secretary Guevara's statement. I didn't know that earlier. Secretary Guevara's statement na nirepresent nung kanyang law firm dati the estate of Ferdinand Marcos puts another kink into this story. Di ba? Kasi in fairness to Secretary Guevara, he came out with that statement, no? But he is the Secretary of Justice now. So syempre magkakaroon na naman ng permutations yan. Until and unless they settle this tax liability squarely, no? And even Secretary Dominguez is saying that it should be settled, no? Whether by garnishment of properties or by cash payments or whatever other means, no? The people will not be satisfied with whatever explanations they make. Kasi alam naman ng lahat ng tao, even if they have forgiven Ferdinand Marcos Sr. and his family, alam naman ng lahat ng tao, wala naman nagko-question na talagang grabe ang corruption during the martial law period. No, I think nobody will say that they were saints. I mean, nakapako naman sa isip ng tao yun.
Yes, sir. In relation to the 203 billion issue, just like to, again, kasi the Marcos camp has been using these two headlines from the Manila Times. Manila Times say, a banner headline of theirs last Monday, tax experts fear BBM. And then, there's a Manila Bulletin reporter here. Another banner headline, Manila Bulletin, almost on the same day, I think, heirs not liable for 203 billion estate tax, PIR. When you read the news, these are both misleading headlines. Kasi pag binasa mo, wala naman nag-quote directly. It was done in anonymity. Wala man na nagsabi, I'm BIR director, so-and-so, and I'm saying this is the law. Pag binasa mo, malinaw doon na, I don't know why the headlines were shown that way. Where in fact, the tax code, the 1997 tax code, still, sinasabi na ang liability is to the executor and the indirect sa mga heirs. Hindi mo pwedeng gawin liable yung estate. Hindi naman tao yung estate. How could you make an estate properties liable? It is the executor, it is the administrator, or the executor and heirs themselves that are liable. And that's clear in Section 91 and Section 92 of the Tax Code of 1997. So, ito ginagamit ng mga Marcos, again, this is propaganda of theirs. And pumunta ka sa page nila, nilalabas nila itong mga misleading headlines na ito. And then they also continue to use the divisoria issue against Mayor ISKO, where we made it clear already that number one, Mayor ISKO did not sell the whole divisoria as being peddled all over social media. Mayor ISKO sold an underperforming asset in the Divisoria Mall, and as recommended by one of the departments in the assets management group of City Hall. So, and then, may allegations that now it's the money being used for the campaign. No. Malinaw po, ginamit po ito sa Besar community. Ginamit po yung pondo para pang ayuda sa mga Manileño. That's where the money went. Simple. Sana po, yung iba na nagpapedal ng mga gantong irresponsible news should check their sources as well. Thank you.
Sir, yung sinasabi na kasi ng Supreme Court, yung request nyo na kumuha ng copy, nakakuha na ba kayo? Then, kasi laging deny ng mga Marcos na wala silang copy na nakatanggap.
I think it's already out in the media, yung entry of judgment. It was entered into Supreme Court's judgment, Book of Judgment, last 1999. 2 years after the final and unapplicable ruling was made. So andyan yun, lumabas na po yan sa media. That's already with the Supreme Court's Book of Entry of Judgment. Clearly saying, may utang sila. Magbayad na sila. Buwis ng bayan para sa mamamayan.
Thank you. That is our
Ngayon, sayang naman at na-late tayo. Na-late tayo sa pagpunta dito. At least, ang punta ko naman kasi dito, kukuha sana ako ng tarp. Tapos mamimigay ako. Ayan. Adi.
Yan, sir.
Sure, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry. Second one.
Nangawit na si Sir. Hindi nga kami nakakasama. Hindi nga nakakasama. Nireport lang sa...
Thank you. Thank you po. Thank you po. Tama po.
Ayan. Ano lang to? Nalit kasi tayo eh. But at least sana narinig nyo naman. Narinig nyo yung mga pinahayag dito ni Sir. Second choice si Yorme, may possible naman nanalo si Mayor ISKO Moreno Dumagoso, mga kababayan. So talagang lang, mga silent majority yung magpapanalo kay Yorme at yung mga silent voters yung magpapanalo kay Mayor ISKO Moreno Dumagoso po. For sure yan, mga kababayan. Kasi maraming nag-switch to ISKO, lalo na yung mga lalo na yung grupo yung mga party list ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte daw. Marami na daw party list na nag-switch, no? At nag-switch to ISKO Moreno Dumagoso na po. So, 'di ba? Nakakatuwa at sana dumarami pa, mga kababayan. For sure, no. Ito may pictorial pa dito, sila Ponce. Ayan. Good DM, Edgar, like lang. Ayan. Silent voters at silent majority po yung magpapanalo kay Yorme dito. Second choice si Yorme dito for sure. Sam, ang ganda ng logo dito.
Wala yung support sa ito, mga kapataan.
Ayun.
It's organic.
It's organic. Puro youth yan, mga kababayan. Bawat isa sa kanila may grupo. Kahit mga taga bawat isa sa kanila may sandang grupo, di ba? Panalo na. Ayan.
Another net part of it's ISKO tayo kabataan.
Kailan kaya yun? ISKO tayo kabataan.
Join. Umikot along with AIM and other groups. ISKO, different organizations.
Kailan kaya yun?
Kaya nga
Eh, live ako, sir.
Talagang extremely common ito pag nila to answer this.
Mamaya, sir. Mamaya, sir.
Insulto na ako. Ano ba ito? Are you speaking for PI? Supporting the regional